Let's bring you issues around this year's academic year. And despite having registered and submitted documents on time, many parents find themselves sitting at school offices begging for a place for their children. We find out what's being done to resolve this placement issue. We've got our reporter Masego Rahlaga, who's been following the story. Let's get the very latest from her. Yesterday, Masego, we saw scores of parents lined up at district offices wanting some answers, complaining that the online system is not working. Is anything better for them today? Are things moving along?
I'm at the Morningside district office here in the north of Johannesburg, and the situation is different for different parents. It's not a blanket approach that we should take in terms of what's going on here. It's not all parents who are for the online application for grade 1 and 8 pupils. It's not all parents who, for instance, applied on time last year. Some of them actually didn't apply. And yesterday, you'd remember, Rufua, that the Department of Education here in Gauteng did reopen for late applications. There were late application days that were opened up for parents even last year. But yesterday, it was reopened for those parents who even missed those dates. And also, we've also met parents who, for instance, are actually not looking for space for the grade 1 and 8 pupils. Those are the pupils that need to apply online. Some of the parents are actually parents who are here to try and get their children into other grades. I met a father who, for instance, says that he decided during the December holidays that he wanted to come back to Gauteng with his son, who lived in the rural areas. His son is actually supposed to be doing grade 10 this year, and he finds himself at the district office to try and get his son a school closer to where he lives, somewhere in Lombardy East. And my colleague Tamsanga Kamane will show you the queue that we've been seeing here today at this Morningside district office in particular. So different reasons for different parents. Some of them had no choice but to come here with their children because they, for instance, don't have money to pay a nanny or somebody who look after their children. Some of them had to actually take days off at work, and this is the second day that they have taken off to try and get their children space. In terms of what we've been finding from some parents who've been walking out of the building, some of them satisfied to a certain degree because they are saying that at least they found a school. It might not have been the school that they were looking for or that they wanted their children to go to, but they just walk out of here at least knowing that from tomorrow they can take their children to school and not have to worry about their children just sitting around at home. We also earlier, Rufua, spoke to a young man who's supposed to be going to grade 8. Very sad situation there. His mother told us that she had actually, in fact, applied on time around August last year. She had already applied, but she says that the online application wasn't showing her a school that is at least 12 kilometers or less from their home, and therefore she didn't choose a school for the application. And so when she inquired at the district in December, they told her because she didn't specify a school, they didn't place her, so she needed to start again and wait for Wednesday when the online application for late applications would be reopened. But of course, when she tried to do that, only a smaller number of schools would be available on the system then, because other schools are filled up by then. And so she found herself applying in Katlehong and Benoni while she lives in Midrand. And then she had to go to Benoni, where she asked them to please transfer her kid to this district. In Benoni, they told her she needed to come here. So it's pillar to post, and while this is happening, this young boy was telling me that for him, he just wants to see himself at school. He's saddened every morning seeing his peers go to school, getting ready, all excited, covering their books for the first day of high school. And here he is at home doing nothing. And he says he doesn't mind what school he goes to, as long as he goes to school.
Yeah, Masego, you've had some interesting conversations there with parents and the student, the young student that you've just mentioned there. But what is the department saying about some of the reasons that they're struggling to place students? I know a big issue in Alexandra yesterday, for example, was there's simply no space in some of the schools in Gauteng.
That's true. So there's a lot of explanations that the education department has been giving. First is that they're saying that some parents, it's on their part because parents are very picky. I mean, if I could, paraphrase the MEC Banyaza Lisufi yesterday at a school that he was handing over, a new school that he was handing over to the community in Sebokeng. He said we live in a South Africa where we have choices. The Constitution says people have a right to make their own choice. And so there are some parents who will choose a certain school that they want their children to go to, but unfortunately, then there won't be any space, and the parents refuse to go to the schools that the department is placing them at, and will try to appeal. He says that there are some parents who, for instance, don't want their children to go to township schools and insist on schools, in the suburbs. So those are the issues, but they're saying they're getting it sorted.
No, absolutely, Masego. I'll allow you to catch your breath then. We'll catch up with you a little bit later when you have some further insights into developments around parents finding space for their children in different schools across the province. Let's take